Hard to believe it was 10 years ago today that the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq began. Shock and awe, the Bush administration called it. The bombs that fell that day triggered a deadly insurgency and a decade of civil war. Today, another wave of bombing swept through Baghdad. At least 65 people were killed. Yes, Saddam Hussein is gone, but violence still plagues that country. Our Washington bureau chief Eric Sorensen looks at Iraq 10 years later. Was it really worth it?
Explosions across Baghdad today killed dozens, an exclamation point on the anniversary of a war and its aftermath that went so wrong. It began 10 years ago tonight with shock and awe and this announcement.
On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets.
For that 1 month, the U.S.-led invasion was, as predicted, overpowering. But almost nothing else went as forecast.
It would be an Iraqi regime that has forsworn these weapons of mass destruction.
The sales pitch that Saddam Hussein had WMDs was wrong, and many say deliberately misleading. After Saddam's overthrow, the U.S. was unprepared for an insurgency that would last years.
No excuse. The Bush administration did a poor job in 2003, and we went into Iraq without a real plan for how to stabilize the place afterwards, which led to a lot of the chaos.
The political fallout was also dramatic. President Bush's popularity plunged as the war dragged on. A young senator's popularity rose for opposing it.
I will end this war.
And consider the divergent paths of America's two main allies.
Canada will not participate.
For Prime Minister Chrétien, standing up to American pressure to join the war was one of his most important and most popular decisions. For backing the war, British Prime Minister Blair's reputation was pummeled, and to this day he's on the defensive.
You can go back over all the issues to do with weapons of mass destruction and so on, but if you ask the basic question, is the world better off without Saddam than with them, then I think the answer is pretty clear.
But was it worth it? Tens of thousands of Iraqi and American lives were lost, and the country remains a security nightmare. 10 years have passed, he says. I still have no proper home, no electricity, no schools for our children. Meantime, 30,000 U.S. soldiers were left wounded, and there's no accurate count of the psychological toll. Tim McLaughlin was part of the tank platoon that freed Baghdad.
When you kill people, when you kill the wrong people or the right people, or too fast or too late, it affects you.
It affected Iraqis. Many remain bitter and are still fighting with each other. And it affected Americans. In a new poll, 53% say the war was a mistake. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Washington.